Aprender de otros e intercambiar puntos de vista nos ayuda a descubrir, a compartir, a construir, porque existen diálogos que inspiran, transforman y trascienden. Saber que no solo somos nuestra propia historia, sino que también somos aquellas historias que conocemos de los demás, es una forma de evolución. Contar historias que dejen huella en tu corazón es la razón de este espacio de reflexión. Aquí podrás conectar con tu esencia, despertar tu creatividad, descubrir que no hay límites. ¿Hasta dónde llegarías si te inspiraras un poco más? Esa respuesta podemos empezar a descubrirla ahora. Soy Jessica Garza. Te invito a que juntos sintamos y seamos Efecto Inspiración. Bienvenidos a Efecto Inspiración. El día de hoy me acompaña una mujer que sabe brillar. Les cuento sobre ella. Es una diseñadora de vestuario galardonada, cuyo trabajo se ha visto recientemente en los Juegos del Hambre, la balada de los pájaros cantores y las serpientes. Ganó el premio Diseñadora de Vestuario del Año en los Style Awards de 2013 por su trabajo en los Juegos del Hambre en llamas, así como un reconocimiento por parte del gremio de diseñadores de vestuario. También es conocida por su trabajo nominada al Oscar en Mank, así como por su trabajo en La chica del dragón tatuado, Perdida y Operación Red Sparrow. Me da muchísimo gusto darle la bienvenida a Trish Summerville a Efecto Inspiración. Trish, welcome. What an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled, and I have to tell you, I was telling you a little bit that this is my first interview in English. So my English is kind of rusty. I don't practice it very much. So forgive me if I say a word that is not correct or if I have to repeat the question, but I know we're going to have a great conversation.
Thank you.
And well, I have, as I told you, I have been reading about your story, about who you are, and it's incredible all the things that you have done. And I always like to begin my interviews with the same question because I find a lot of wisdom in the answer. That is to please tell me a little bit about your background. Tell me about your childhood and all these early experiences that may have an impact on your life.
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, and my family goes back several generations to Louisiana. Okay. And when I was young, my grandmother and my great-grandmother, I was very lucky to know most of my grandparents and great-grandparents.
Okay.
On my mother's side, my great-grandmother made a lot of their clothes when they were kids.
Okay.
And she learned how to make patterns out of taping newspaper together, and she would make patterns that way and then make their clothing from that. And then my great grandmother taught me how to sew. And so when I was young, I would kind of, I'd go to thrift stores or secondhand shops in the Goodwill and buy clothing that I liked, but whether I liked the fabric or the shape of the sleeves or something, and would change it up and kind of customize it and make it my own.
How old were you there?
Probably like junior high school.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I would call it like Frankensteining the clothes together because I would cut it all up and either sew it together or hand stitch it together. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of did that a lot. And, my mom would probably say I had a very interesting style when I was young, but I was kind of leaned more into being very punk rock.
Okay.
So, I would do things where I would, put a tape across my face and then take black powder and black across my eyes and then take the tape off. So I would have a really dramatic, hard black line across my face. And then I saw Blade Runner and I thought like, oh my God, this is amazing. Somebody else is doing this makeup. But so I just was very kind of creative when I was young, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then when I got into high school, I knew I wanted to travel and I knew I wanted to go to school somewhere outside of Louisiana. And I started looking at fashion design schools. So I applied to FITM and I started at the San Francisco campus. And then I finished up in the Los Angeles campus. And when I was at the Los Angeles campus, I met a woman who was doing women's ready-to-wear. And it was she just started this line and it was very small and it was mainly knits. And she also did custom clothing for musicians.
Okay.
And it wasn't my kind of musicians at the time because it was all these kind of hair bands and I was still kind of into like, either old rock or like punk kind of music.
Okay.
And so I didn't really know who any of the band members were. I was just up for like making the clothes with her. And So I kind of started that way, and I gained a lot more sewing techniques then from like school, but then also working with her and learning how to work with different knits and like coated fabrics that look like stretch leathers. And so I started that way. And then from that, I kind of went into working in music videos. Because I did some music videos with her and then met producers on those videos, and I get hired for other musicians. I also was still doing personal clothing. So, you know, there were a couple guys I met from different bands and girls from different bands. And so I would either customize like jeans and do repairs on that kind of thing, or then I would just make them clothes. And then that kind of led from doing music videos. I did music tours with musicians. I did commercials. And then I assisted in costume design. But doing the tours, I would do for the musician or the singer, I would do their costumes, all the dancers' costumes, and the band for them to go on tour. And so that entailed a lot of quick change, you know, because sometimes you have like 15 seconds to change the costume for the next set of the songs. And that I really enjoyed because it was really creative, but also really challenging.
Okay.
And then from doing that, I went into, more like doing commercials and then assisting on films and then doing my own films.
And that's brilliant because you're talking about a career that started like with all these images of your grandmother and great-grandmother and the impact they had on you, and how you started with all this creativity going on to these great films that you are now a great artist. But I would like to know more about this career and this path. So take me through or walk me through your journey, but specifically to the challenges or setbacks that make you who you are right now. What are those challenges that are the ones that Trish Summerville is like most proud about?
I think my job, it's really interesting and really creative, and in ways it's like everyone else's job. You know, like you have these great days and then you're really excited and really happy about what you've made that day or created that day or as a team or what you work with. And then there's days that are just really terrible days where you just think, why am I doing this? But I think for me, probably the challenges was a bit hard to get into the business because my family's not from, anything in the business. In costume design years ago, there was a lot of, like nepotism because, it's like with any other business, your parents hope you do what they do kind of, So I think when I first started, working in the business, it was a bit hard to get in and knowing exactly what I wanted to do. And since I did start in like music videos, which differs a lot from film, because in music videos, you can do everything. Since I went to design school, I knew how to sew, I could make patterns. I was in the era of music videos when everything was rhinestoned and studded. So I even had like a kick press in my house that was a hydraulic kick press so that I could stone and stud clothes faster, because I did a lot of it myself. So I think from working in music videos, I had a lot of tools that helped me, in costume design. But I think a lot of the challenges were, like I put myself through college. And working while I was putting myself through college was definitely a challenge, and realizing, did I want to go on and continue my education, and what would that cost for me to continue my education? And then I thought it's better for me to get practical knowledge. After getting an Associate of Arts degree, I then decided I'm just going to work and I'm going to get the experience that I want to have, and I want to be hands-on instead of continuing to put more money into my education. I thought this would be a better route for me. And I don't think that's for everybody, but for me that worked because I am somebody who likes to be very hands-on. I like learning from other people. I'm not afraid not to be the smartest person in the room. I like to surround myself with people that are much more intelligent than I am, that are much more world-traveled than I am, because I like to gain knowledge from people. So I kind of went that route of getting practical experience. So at times it was very challenging because I work in a business, even still now, I'm considered freelance. I don't work for a particular studio, so I'm on a job till that job ends. things, and then I have to look for another job or hope another job comes in my direction. So at times that can be really stressful, especially when I was first starting out, to try and take that jump from going from, where I was an assistant to then trying to branch off and be my own designer and get my own jobs. And that was a little bit scary because I had two people that I kind of worked for and knew those producers that would hire me as an assistant as well. And then to try and make that change of being responsible to get my own job and then being responsible to employ other people and find teams. But I thought, we all have fears, that set us back in ways. But I thought, well, just jump off the ledge. It's like, how hard can it be? How high can it be? And if I don't take this chance, I'll always wish I had taken the chance. So I think that was probably for me the biggest challenge, was just trying to move forward in my own career on my own 2 feet, as a designer in my own right. So that was probably my biggest challenge.
Wow, and that's very interesting, because you said a while ago, sometimes I question myself, why am I doing this? And I want the answer for that question. What's your why? And I don't mean your why, and I know this is a brilliant career and that you have been doing costume designs that are great, and you have been nominated for an Oscar, and it has been like a very, very brilliant career, and very brilliant, all the creativity that's within you. But what's your why? Your internal why on doing this?
I really do love what I do. I feel really lucky that I found this job, because it's the thing of, at times, there's a lot that goes on in your head, or I can only speak for myself, but like when I'm on a job and I start a job, I don't know how, which is not sometimes always the best for me, I don't know how to just do a little. No matter what the job is, I have to, no matter what the budget is, no matter how much time I have with it, it's like I don't know how not to just dive fully in 1,000%, and at times that's probably a disservice to me, because I end up working extremely long hours. As I get older and have more experience, I am realizing to get better at my personal life, work-life management, that like I have to recoup myself, I have to replenish my body, I have to replenish my brain, or I won't have any creativity that will come out of me. So the why is because it is extremely, for me, it's very satisfying. I particularly love film in the way of, I love being part of a tribe of people that come together to tell a story. Like, I find it really satisfying and really fulfilling for me. I really love film. I love the whole process of it. I love sitting down and reading the script and breaking it apart and looking at the characters and trying to figure out who they are and can I visualize them in my head and how do I see them, and then having conversations with the director of like what his view is on who this character is. And then you work with a production designer who creates the world. They build the houses, the sets, the locations. And then it's the challenge for me to see like, well, I have to design these people that fit into that world. And so it's this whole overall storytelling. And then you work with the director of photography that depends how he's going to light it or she's going to light it, could totally change how your costumes look. And then you have to work with hair and makeup because, you know, if I have this incredible costume designed and then the hair person comes in and says, we're doing no makeup on them at all, and it doesn't match, it can destroy a character. So I really enjoy and I really thrive working with like a whole tribe of people that creatively all come together to tell this whole story, you know. So that for me is really, really fulfilling. And the other parts I find really fulfilling are, you know, within my department and my team, I travel a lot for work, so I really like to be immersed in other cultures. And so I find that really satisfying to like look at fabrics from different places in the world, look at how people work in different places in the world, what are their techniques. I'm very much of the mindset of, yes, I have a way I do things, but do you have a better way?
Yeah,
and then let me see your way, and maybe it's better, and we'll do that. You know, I say often too, it's like being ahead of the department, like that I am, you have to really kind of take your ego and put it over on a shelf, because you deal with actors as well who I really have a lot of respect for actors, because they're making themselves very vulnerable in a lot of ways. And they're standing in the middle of a large space with probably a crew of 50 to 100 to 200 people watching them do their art. And so I have a lot of space and a lot of grace and compassion for actors. And I really enjoy helping them figure out these costumes that help them remove themselves and become this character so that they can do their job and make us all believe they're the real person in this story.
Wow.
And so I think, at times it's like that's also satisfying when you're in a fitting and you see the actor put on their clothes and you see how their body posture changes or their mannerisms change, or like they have this big smile on their face because they see it too. And so that's extremely satisfying. And I don't think it's selfish, but I think it's really satisfying that you've made someone else happy besides I could love the costume all day long, but if the director doesn't feel it and the actor doesn't feel it and it doesn't fit in the world, that's self-serving, and I'm only making myself happy. So because I can do that at home,
Yeah.
So I like the part of, this collaboration of a bunch of people helping tell stories.
That's a great why. And I think it's all that you're saying, it's very magical, because storytelling gives you the opportunity to go into different worlds and to understand different points of view. And after listening to you, there's it comes to my mind this belief that that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Do you think this is true? Do you agree? What do you think about this? Because after listening to you, I think it is, but what do you think?
I mean, I definitely agree with you. Yesterday, I was with Laura Cantu at Sadim yesterday at the school, and talking to some of the students, and one of the students came up to me, actually two different students came up to me at different times and said something about being insecure and being scared to try things. Because I said, fear, there's no room for the fear, right? Get rid of the fear. We all have it, but it doesn't serve you in any way unless it's there's a pond full of alligators. Well, yeah, fear is valid there. But when you're talking about just being creative, it's like, why not try things? And so that's kind of what you're saying, or how it comes across to me is what you're saying is if you don't challenge yourself and you don't try new things, I mean, I would be in a very stagnant place. And I feel like with what I do, creativity, I would be very probably depressed or sad if I continued to do the same thing over and over. And, there's definitely things that I gravitate towards, or type of projects I gravitate towards. And there's certain people that if they're available, I like to have on my team because, we work well together and they know what I like. But yeah, I feel like, I'm trying to take more challenges in my life, and I like doing all different aspects of what I do. I still like doing, fashion and editorial because that's a different type of creativity that's really fulfilling to me. The project I did with Laura Cantu is that to me was a really great experience because it was something I haven't really done before. I got to collaborate with somebody who has so much knowledge about jewelry. Yes. So that was really interesting and fun for me. And that was like a new venue that I did. So I think it is that thing of trying to focus on, what your emotions are and what your aspirations are and what your passion in it drives you. And then just try and take those leaps, It's the worst thing that can happen is, you don't like the turnout. You don't like the outcome of I'm speaking for myself, but you don't like the outcome of it. As an example, it's if we're dyeing something and in my head, I know the color I see, and then, we dye the fabric and then we make the garment, maybe it's not right. Maybe it doesn't fit the character that I need, and that's just the way of testing. But if I hadn't tried it, I would never know. And I would always second guess, should I have used that blue? Should I have used the blue? Would the blue have been better? But it's take those challenges and try different things. And that's the only way you're going to figure out what works or what is the best choice. If you only make one decision, was that really the best choice? So try all the options.
I love it. Try all the options and the fear, leave it outside.
Put it in a box, yeah. Put it in a box somewhere else. Save it for the pond of the alligators, you know.
Yeah, and you were telling us right now that you were talking to the girls at the Sedim yesterday, you said?
Yesterday.
I just can imagine their faces after listening to you, because you're a great personality in all of this world of costume design and of creativity, and your world must be very exciting for them. It is for me, and I'm not in that field. I can't imagine their faces. But what does it mean to you to be an inspiration to others?
Oh, I mean, it's really, really nice. Yeah, I mean, I really, it's odd for me because I don't feel I'm an inspiration to other people, but I think that's beautiful. It makes me feel very honored that, you know, I can inspire someone to either follow their path or jump on a new path or just live a certain way. Or whatever it is, you know, to try new things. Yeah, I mean, I'm really honored to feel that I'm an inspiration. And I really enjoy, you know, going to schools and speaking with students, because I don't remember so much if I had that when I was in college. And so, you know, I really like spending time with them. And I really love, like, the experience yesterday was really, really interesting because it is culturally different, right?
Yes,
so, and I find a lot of joy in that, like seeing how, you know, other schools function in other countries and seeing what's driving them and what their current project is and what they're working on and how they express themselves. And I was really, really impressed with the level of the project. Like, they shared this one project that they're working on with me, and they're in the middle of the project and they still have quite a ways to go, but looking at, like, all the information they had, the illustrations that they'd done, how these different departments, not just fashion, but like architecture and animation and everything, had all worked together to come up with this concept and these ideas of the project. And that was really, like, for me, it was very like a creative jolt that I got to see this. And it was a project I even joked with the students. I was like, this is something I'd want to make, because the costumes that they came up with were just really interesting and very cool. And it was nice to have these conversations with them and asking them why they chose certain things and how they thought they would make it structurally and what fabrics they thought they would want to use. And with the animation, like, how did they come up with the colors? And, you know, how did they decide as a group which illustration they're leaning more towards, because everyone submitted an illustration, and as a group, how do they come together and, again, putting ego aside, and choose which is the best one for the project?
Yes.
Which one helps tell the story the best? You know, and I've spoke at my alma mater, FITM. I've gone several times. I've gone to SCAD, which is in Savannah, Georgia, and I just really love seeing, like, how the facilities are run, meeting the teachers and the staff, seeing what the facilities look like, what equipment that they have, what new process and things that they're working on, because it's much different than when I was in school. So I really enjoy that.
That's cool. And I'm curious, what advice did you give them yesterday?
Again, it's just like try everything, you know, just try and live authentically and be fearless and just experiment. Like, you know, we still do that in my business. It's like a lot of times we don't know how we're going to make like this headpiece, you know, and then I have to just try things. And so it was really nice to talk with them, to ask them, like, for certain questions of, you know, how there's one thing that they're making that has all these feathers, and just asking them, are they going to use real feathers? Are they going to make feathers? And so I just was trying to tell them, like, do mock-ups, do samples, just try it. Don't be afraid, but you got to, like, start somewhere. And if you're too afraid to try, it just makes you procrastinate and it makes you have more self-doubt. So if you can just throw something out there and feel secure about it. And one of the students I was talking to, that she said she has a lot of insecurities. And I said, well, you just have to realize there's only one you, and you're going to do your vision and what you want to do, and no one else can do what you do. And yes, there will be people that maybe have more experience and maybe are better at something than you are, and there's people that have less experience and aren't as good as you are at something. So you've just got to find your happy and your passion and just do it as authentically and give it 100% of your integrity to do it, and just move forward. Because if you have all this self-doubt, it just weighs you down, and it makes it really hard, I think, for anybody in any career to find a happy place. Like I couldn't imagine being at a job I didn't like. Even on the hardest days, I'll excuse myself from the office. And I made a joke with some of the students. I said I do a thing like I either have my own solo dance party or I have a dance party in the office. I have someone pick a song and we dance. Or at times I would get hula hoops when I was in Sweden. And it was really stressful. I brought hula hoops in and made everybody do the hula hoop, because you can't be mad doing the hula hoop, or you can't be stressed out doing the hula hoop. So even on the hardest days, like, I'm very fortunate that I found a career that I really enjoy and I really love, and I'm really happy to go to work every day. Some days it's really, really hard, and it might sound odd for like the audience listening, because they think, oh, you're working in films and Hollywood and it's exciting. But, a lot of my days are, 16 hours, 18 hours. I stand probably 10 to 12 hours a day. I stand because I'm on a sound stage, or I'm in the workroom, in the cutting room, and so it is really long hours, and there's definitely stress. And when people ask me why is it stressful? And for me, the biggest part of the stress is I'm responsible for someone else's very large sum of money, right? The budget I'm given for my costume department. So I'm responsible for this very large sum of money, and then I have to create something special with it, and all the departments have to do this. And I have to stay true to myself, and then I have to realize, like, I have to give it my all and give it my best, because first, I don't want to disappoint myself, but I also don't want to disappoint the director or the studio or the actors. So there's a lot of people that you deal with and that you rely on in different ways. And I don't need acknowledgement from all these people or approval from all these people, but you do from, studios or the directors. So that would probably be, for me, is the most stressful thing, is the allocation of this budget that you want to take and stay within the budget and make the best things you can with it visually. And then also it's the time frame that you're given to do all of this and meet that deadline. And sometimes it's really scary that you don't know if you're going to make it to that first day of shooting. Are you going to have costumes to put on the backs of the actors the very first day you shoot? And will it be something you can be proud of? Or will you have to think, like, this is the best we could do in this amount of time, and I have to be okay with that? And that's hard. That's a really hard part.
Thank you for saying this, because sometimes we only see the tip of the iceberg, but we don't see the mass that is down there. And talking about your hard work and the things that are not as glamorous as the world that we think you live in is great, especially for the new generations. Something that you said right now that I loved is there's only one you. And that is so true, and it is so inspiring to hear that, because when there's only one you, there's only one person who can inspire in a particular way, like you're doing it right now. So if we look back at your journey, or if you look back at your journey, what are you most proud of?
Oh, it's I don't know, that's very hard, because there's so many different ways. I think one of the things that I'm proud of or happy with, I don't know if proud is the right word, but that I'm really, because I've worked in a lot of different places and on different types of projects, I'm really proud and happy with that I'm able to help other colleagues. Is something that there's a group of costume designers that we share a lot of information. We help. I'm a big advocate on raise each other up. There's enough work out there for everybody. And so I think for me, that's one of the things that I really like to focus on in my particular career, and especially in my particular department, is with other costume designers and with assistant costume designers. Like when I work with assistants or other people, that aren't designing yet, but I can see in them that they can do it and it's their time. And I think that's really important is timing. You know, we all have to realize timing means so much. It may not be your time. Mm-hmm. You may be ahead of your time. And then you design something and no one gets it in 5 years later. You're like, oh, now everybody's doing it. You know? Yeah. So I think time is so crucial for so many things. But I'm a big advocate on if you work with someone and it's their time, help lift them up. Help them get to that place. You know, I think it's really important that I do believe there's enough work for all of us. And I do think that like, it's really fulfilling for me if I, you know, can help somebody find a crew in a country I've worked in because say I had to go there and I didn't know anyone and you have this learning curve you have to be on and you only have so much time and you can only hire so many people. And so if I find someone who's great, I am so happy to pass that along. And whenever I do share information with other designers, I also respectfully look at the person. If it's, you know, say an age or dyer that I love, I tell them, I love this person. This person works hard and they're really good. Be kind to them. Be nice to them. You know, it's because I don't want to give forward names to people who aren't kind and who aren't nice. No matter how talented you are, if you're not nice, it can only go so far, you know? So I think maybe I think it's like that I have a really nice network of colleagues that we really help each other out and support each other, you know? And I think that's important in our business. I think it's important in life, but it's definitely important in business.
Definitely. Lift others. I mean, that's beautiful. You have a beautiful heart. I love the way you talk about your colleagues. I love the way you talk about helping others. I love the way you say that there's room for everyone. Everyone can have an opportunity, and I love this collaboration thing that you have that makes you special. And when people like you with your heart share this knowledge is when the world, I think, expands and we get so much better and we get to be a better society. So I really thank you for that.
Definitely. I think it's a thing of like, you know, let's fly together.
Definitely.
You know? Let's all soar together.
Yes, I love it. And talking about this flying together, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Oh,
not near, not right now. Years later.
Yeah, years later. I mean, I hope. Oh gosh, I try not to get too cerebral on that because my mind is. I make the joke of like, don't read my mind. It's a very dark, scary place.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, speaking for in a work career standpoint, of course it would be wonderful if I left a legacy of if my costumes were looked back upon. Okay. Like that would be amazing to me. You know, that would probably be like the end goal of that it was something that people could look back on, or a film that I worked on and really understand the costumes or still appreciate the costumes. Like I hope there's projects that I worked on that stand a test of time, or the costumes stand a test of time, that, you know, that can be looked back upon or referenced in any way, even if it's by a single person. It doesn't have to be, you know, a large situation. I don't have to be in museums, you know, but I do think that would be really, really nice.
That's in your professional life.
My professional life.
But in your personal life?
In my personal life, my legacy, I just think it's, I don't know. I think it's that not to try and sound ego and not then to be modest is a fine line, right? To answer questions in. I think for me, it is going back to the thing of like, have I served a purpose personally with people? Wow. Is there somebody that I've either supported when they needed the help? Wow. Is there something that like, whether I knew somebody was having a bad day or not, you know, it's like just making a gesture that like you can change a pivotal point for somebody, regardless of what it is. I mean, I have a couple family members. Well, I'm very close to my family in general, and it's that like we have this support system that like, you know, I have a niece that I can call and say, I'm having a really shitty day, and do you have 10 minutes? You know, and so and she can call me and be like, what are you doing right now? Do you have a minute to talk? And I think those are small moments that can really mean a lot and change the trajectory of your day. Or at work. You know, it's like if, you know, my wife is a really, really big support system for me. And she's also an artist. And so it's like we really get what those days are like for each other because, you know, it's like when you have to put your art out there because it is judged. I mean, like at work, you know, you're waiting for someone to give their opinion on it. So and it's very close to me, like what I do. So I think personally it's like having a good support system and hopefully I've been there for people in a time of need.
I'm sure you have been there. Just one last question, Trish, because I know that you have an agenda to cover, but what is the dream that still lives in your heart? Is there any dream that you still need to fulfill?
Oh yeah, I mean, wow. Immediately I go to travel because my heart is so drawn to other cultures and to travel. Like one of my dreams for years, it might sound really funny, was I wanted to go to Africa and jump with the Maasai tribe. Okay. And so I know it sounds really weird, but it's like this thing I'm so mesmerized by how beautiful that culture is. The adornment in their daily clothing, the jewelry that they make, their athleticism, the way they live with their animals, and watching them as, you know, these tribes and groups do these jumps, which they get so high off the ground. So I would joke a lot about like that I was practicing my jumping so that like if I ever did get to go, I could jump with the Maasai. So that's a funny one, but yeah.
And would you say dreams come true?
Dreams do come true, yeah. Nightmares too. But yeah, dreams do come true. I think it's, I live a blessed life. Like I'm really lucky, you know, and I live a very regular, normal life as well. I live a very simple kind of life outside of like work at times. But yeah, dreams do come true. I think you just have to figure out your perseverance and find out what makes you happy. You know, I'm a big advocate of like, I know we all have to work and we all have to sustain our life and we all have to make money in some form of a way to live, but it's really valuable if you can figure out what like you love to do and enjoy doing. It's so much more fulfilling. Yeah.
I love it. And you're a great example that dreams do come true. Trish, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for opening your heart. Forgive me for my English.
Your English is great. It was such a good interview and you had really great questions.
No, thank you. It's because I have a great guest in front. So thank you very much.
You also were very prepared. You had really good questions. I appreciate that.
No, I love to have you here. But let me tell you that at the end of each interview, I do this exercise where I give my guests a list of words. And I tell them to give me the first thing that comes to their mind. I want to do the same thing with you. Are you ready?
Yeah, and no cursing on here, right?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. You can edit it out.
Yeah. Costume designer.
Creative force.
Hard work.
It happens. It happens.
Grit.
Greed?
Grit.
Oh, like, grit. Grit, resilience.
Determination.
Goes back to hard work.
Hope.
Beauty.
Inspiration.
People.
Ella es Trish Summerville, es esta mujer que hoy nos abre su corazón y que hoy nos asegura que los sueños sí se hacen realidad. Trish, do you have a last message that you want to give to the audience? Where can they find you? An advice? Something to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, my advice is see film. I mean, I'm a big advocate of I want films back in movie theaters. Streaming is fine, but I want people to go enjoy them the way we intend that they're made and see films. And then, yeah, check out Laura Cantu, the jewelry line that we did. Yes. I'm really proud of that, and it was a great collaboration. And yeah, and you can find me at Instagram at Ms. T. Summerville. It's
Great.
MZT Summerville, and that's kind of my only social media. I'm not great at posting all the time, but I really enjoy seeing, especially like what, for the Hunger Games franchise films, like what the fans, they recreate the costumes and they do illustrations, and I really love seeing all that. And I was asking people as well, like if you buy any of the merchandise that we did for Songbirds and Snakes, between the jewelry and the clothing, post photos of it, because I love seeing how everybody integrates it in their personal style.
Thanks for mentioning Laura, because she's a great artist also, and she's Mexican, and we love her, and I want to thank her because you are here because of Laura and Jaime. So
I am.
Thank
and
you
I'm
both.
grateful for this experience.
Yes.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you. It was great having you here.
Thank you.
Y a todos ustedes que estuvieron hoy con nosotros, muchísimas gracias por habernos acompañado. Esto fue Efecto Inspiración. Te invito a que seas parte de la comunidad Efecto Inspiración. Suscríbete en mi canal de YouTube y sígueme en Instagram y Facebook. Nos vemos por ahí.